25 years. These stones will be on sale at an incredible $15 per carat, exclusively at the Joseph Horn Company this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday only.
Now, the makers of Nescafe, world's largest selling brand of instant coffee, introduce new Nescafe decaffeinated instant coffee. 97% caffeine-free. We figured if the world likes Nescafe so well, decaffeinated drinkers ought to get in on the flavor too. New Nescafe decaffeinated in the green label.
In Pittsburgh, this is Channel 11, the news station.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Eleanor Schano. In the news at this hour, more bombings in Cambodia and Vietnam. The catalytic converter doesn't seem to be working. We have a shaggy dog story for you today. More on that a bit later, but our lead story comes from the state capitol. A federal grand jury in Harrisburg is expected to hand down indictments this afternoon in connection with the Patty Hearst case. According to two newspapers, the Harrisburg Patriot and the San Francisco Chronicle, the indictments will involve 5 or 6 persons accused of harboring Miss Hearst and her SLA companions, Bill and Emily Harris, while they were hiding out here in Pennsylvania. Now, the Scranton Tribune reports the 3 fugitives were in the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area earlier this year, but they are no longer in that vicinity. Then there are other reports from State College, Pennsylvania, that the trio had been sighted around the Penn State University campus within the past 2 months. That grand jury is in session. Those indictments could be handed down at any time. Our Harrisburg correspondent Betsy Amig is on the scene. She will keep Newswatch informed on developments as they happened. Now, Patricia Hearst was kidnapped from an apartment in Berkeley, California on February 4th, 1974. She has been the object of a nationwide manhunt since she was last spotted during a bank holdup last spring. Bob?
In Washington, the Senate Finance Committee starts its work today on legislation for a cut in income taxes that's expected to be upwards of $31 billion. That's nearly double the amount that's been recommended by President Ford. Meanwhile, House Ways and Means Chairman Al Ullman says that there is still some life in a plan to gradually hike federal gasoline taxes to 40 cents a gallon.
Chairman Ullman of the Ways and Means Committee insists there is still life in his proposal for a 40-cent-a-gallon tax on excess use of gasoline. But members of his committee say it will never sell politically.
You just can't sell a 40-cent gasoline tax. It's too much. It may be a good idea, but it's too much tax.
Not politically saleable?
It's not politically saleable, that's right.
Well, you're saying then that the 40-cent idea is still very much alive?
Somewhere, probably a little less, but somewhere in the vicinity. It will graduate in, beginning from 5 to 10 cents the first year and increase every year up to somewhere between 25 and 40 cents over a period of 4 or 5 years.
Ullman conceded that he will modify his gas tax proposal to phase it in over a longer period of time. But members of his committee are balking at even that. They are likely to vote for no more than 5 cents a gallon tax beginning next year. Ray Scherer, NBC News, at the House of Representatives.
That Senate Finance Committee also has to decide today whether or not to approve the House-passed repeal of the oil depletion allowances.
Auto industry reports say a new small car to sell for $200 less than any other U.S. car will roll off General Motors assembly lines in the 1976 model year. However, at the same time, a device designed to cut down air pollution doesn't seem to be helping the situation. Roy Neal reports.
These are catalytic converters, still being installed on new cars, even though the Environmental Protection Agency now admits that the government made a mistake in forcing the automobile industry to install them. When installed in a car's exhaust, the converters do clean up hydrocarbon and carbon monoxide emissions. But now the EPA reveals they turn out potentially dangerous amounts of something worse, clouds of sulfuric acid. So far, the EPA has not called for a change in the law that would get rid of the catalytic mufflers. But there is growing pressure from automotive and oil industry spokesmen to force the change. The oil industry says flatly that there is no way refineries can get all the sulfur out of gasoline. So there's no way to prevent the converters from churning out sulfuric acid. And the converters only can use no-lead gasoline, which takes 10% more crude oil to produce, at a time when the nation's trying to conserve its supply. The automobile and oil industries say they've been forced to spend billions of dollars on catalytic converters, which may do the environment more harm than good. Environmentalists say they still are better than nothing. And the Environmental Protection Agency says it will take years to find a solution to the real problem of the millions of American cars that continue to pollute the atmosphere. Roy Neal, NBC News, Houston.
Now, the auto industry will release its sales figures for early March sometime today. All indications are that they will be encouraging.
All the colors of a stained glass window captured on bath towels. It's Sears' best-selling stained glass pattern. On sale now at a fantastic 40% off. One side velvety soft, the other fluffy, and 40% off. Coordinated bath rugs, carpets, stained glass accessories, and shower curtains now 20% off. Fill your bathroom with the colors of stained glass. On sale now exclusively at Sears.
Something is going to happen to you tonight. Your life will never be the same because...
Miraculous things happen at the Morris Cerullo crusade. It could change your life.
Morris Cerullo has that ability to care for people because God has put it inside him. And he really does care about you.
Well, Morris Cerullo is right down in my level. He relates to me in the place where I sit in my problems.
It's really exciting because Morris Cerullo, he can really reach a lot of people.
He cares about me personally.
I think Morris Cerullo really gives off a lot of love and affection. Everybody needs a little love and affection.
Morris Cerullo has talked to millions of people at crusades all over the world. He really cares what happens to you.
See Morris Cerullo in person at the Morris Cerullo Crusade, March 17th through 21st at the Soldiers and Sailors Auditorium.
The House Foreign Affairs Committee is considering a compromise aid request for Cambodia of $82.5 million instead of the $222 million that President Ford is asking for. At the same time, Democrats in the Senate are meeting to consider a resolution that opposes any additional aid to Southeast Asia. That's a proposal that the Democrats in the House approved yesterday.
The South Vietnamese have reported the loss of another of those district towns in the Central Highlands, northeast of the provincial capital of Bon Mi Thuot. That city's been under siege for 4 days now, and 9 Americans are among those who are trapped there. And in Cambodia, meanwhile, a rocket has landed on the ammunition dump at Phnom Penh Airport, and that has put a one-day stop to the American airlift of supplies to that city. Close to home again, a public hearing on a rate hike for Duquesne Light yesterday drew a large and very vocal crowd of consumers. Meredith Lewis has more on that story.
For a change, this Public Utility Commission hearing was packed with consumers, many of them outraged over Duquesne Light's request for an $80.6 million rate increase. The big attraction was Consumer Advocate Commissioner Herbert Dennenberg. Dennenberg said the public deserved a detailed explanation of the request. Duquesne Light officials said the increase is necessary to meet inflated costs of materials and manpower. Much of the testimony was random, angry, and critical.
Representative, nobody put nothing down in dollars and cents. I know you're not here to argue, but I would appreciate your argument because I like to have somebody fight back. But because I would say this, you didn't come to argue because you figured, well, it's cut and dry. We'll forget all about it.
Meredith Lewis, Channel 11 News Watch.
Those public hearings for Duquesne Light now move to Beaver Falls for some sessions both this afternoon and this evening. Eleanor?
Well, if you're planning a trip to Hollywood and want a first-hand look at how the stars live, it'll only cost $5.90. For that admission fee, you can drop in at Liberace's place and browse through his $1 million Hollywood Hills mansion. It's the only living celebrity's house ever open to the public. The proceeds will go to the Liberace Foundation for the development of performing talent. Well, former Senator Sam Ervin has hit the college lecture circuit. He told a group of students at Indiana University yesterday that the same lust for power that led to Watergate poses the greatest threat to freedom in America today. Meanwhile, former Nixon press secretary Ron Ziegler has abandoned the ranks of the Watergate speakers, saying that these lectures only keep Watergate passions alive. Ziegler was scheduled to speak later this month at the University of Pittsburgh. That visit has now been canceled. Can you imagine finding a plain white envelope in your mailbox with no message in it, but simply a check for $1,000 from Frank Sinatra? Well, that happened the other day to Imogene Sladen of Frankfort, Illinois. Imogene is a 53-year-old shut-in with no arms and only one leg. Now, her problems with the federal government became known last week when, because of a new regulation, her $200 monthly check from Uncle Sam was cut off. Sinatra apparently read about the story, and he sent Miss Sladen a personal check. By the way, the governor of Illinois has since ordered the monthly payments reinstated. Well, Jacqueline Onassis is expected to return to Paris this weekend after spending a week in New York visiting her children. Her 73-year-old husband, Aristotle Onassis, is not making much progress. He is using artificial kidney and respirator machines, and that's 32 days after his gallbladder operation. Doctors say his situation is not grave, but it's not bright either. And here is an incredible story of courage. A young woman in Columbus, Ohio, will undergo cancer surgery today in an effort to prolong her life. She knows she's going to die, but before she does, she has one very important mission to accomplish. We have more on the story from Bob Jameson.
They will keep her alive long enough to find a guardian for her 3 children. Ever since a newspaper story told of Linda's wish to keep her children together after she is gone, hundreds of people, like Margene and Charles Evans, have called offering to take the children in.
My kid's ready. It's 3 years old.
In the last 2 years, Linda has undergone several operations to stop the spreading cancer while trying to keep her family together. There is no other family to take the 3 children together, Sherry, Joey, and Amber. Linda has kept the family together, even though her husband deserted them, and even though she is on welfare. The children, Amber, who is 6 and in 1st grade, Joey, who is 10, and Sherry, who is 12, are students in a Catholic school. And Linda is determined that no matter what happens to her, the children will have deep religious roots. But her biggest worry is that the 3 of them remain together after she is gone.
I have 3 children I love very much, more than anything else in the world. And I want whatever the very best I can give them. Or if it's someone else, they can give it to them.
Linda Hardy says, "I'd rather they went to a children's home together than to be taken and split apart." Bob Jameson, NBC News, Columbus, Ohio.
I guess there's a reason for a story like that. It certainly is inspirational. It really puts your own problems into perspective, doesn't it?
Where is she getting the courage? Fantastic story.
Incredible story.
Okay, moving on to sports now. Our rookie Pierre LaRoche turned a 3-goal hat trick last night at the arena to lead the Penguins to a 5-3 victory over the Boston Bruins. Last night's win, by the way, clinched a playoff berth for the Pens, and it also snapped a 7-game Bruins winning streak. The Pens are back in action tonight across the state in Philadelphia, and by the way, you can see that game here on Channel 11 starting at 8 o'clock. As for the Pirates, they beat St. Louis 6-4 in exhibition play yesterday, and they move on for a game with Boston today. They're down in Winter Haven. Rental referral agencies have been a part of the Pittsburgh scene for several years now. One of those agencies has drawn the ire of a lot of our viewers, as Bob James reports on Inflation Buster.
Complaints about a rental referral agency known as Rentex have been pouring in, but because the state had Rentex under investigation, I couldn't respond to any of those complaints. Well, this afternoon, I can tell you that Rentex is in trouble. The Assistant Attorney General, Walter Little, of the State Bureau of Consumer Protection, charged in common pleas court that Rentex ignored a subpoena ordering it to answer consumer complaints at a recent Bureau hearing. The most common complaints are that the properties Rentex lists are either not available for occupancy or fall short of the agency's description of them. The director of the State Bureau of Consumer Protection, Joel Weisberg, says you'd be better off buying a newspaper and checking the real estate ads yourself. You'd be better off than spending $25 to $35 on a fee with a referral agency. Weisberg further charges that these agencies generally do not get the landlord's permission to act as his agent and do not have the authority to negotiate the leases or otherwise control the terms of the rental agreement. Have more on this on later reports. Have some callbacks for you today. 3 brands of pimento imported from Spain have been recalled, and so have 6 brands of 2 soups, lobster bisque and clam bisque. Both the pimento and the soups are underprocessed. That means they're not cooked properly and could breed harmful bacteria. More 19-inch color TV sets recalled too, 7 Quasar models, 1 Toshiba, and 2 Panasonic, all for excessive radiation leakage. Now, for more information on these items, please call the Food and Drug Administration special consumer number, that's 644-2859. It answers 24 hours a day and presents a 3-minute recorded report on these items. That's 644-2859.
Well, this next story comes under the heading of "It was bound to happen sooner or later." The California Court of Appeals has ruled that the closing of state offices on Good Friday between noon and 3 p.m. is unconstitutional. The court claims the closing is in violation of the First Amendment dealing with the separation of church and state. And we'll check out more late news right after we take time out for these messages.
A dog like Jennifer eats more than 600 pounds of dog food a year, so it makes sense to feed her Vet's dry dog food. Vet's has 100% complete and balanced nutrition, but it costs less than the leading brands, about 14% less. Over a year, that's like getting about 85 extra pounds of dog food. 85 pounds of nutritious, good-tasting Vet's. Free. Vet's, complete nutrition, economically priced.
Sears wants to save you money like nobody saves you money. And this week at Sears March Value Week sale, you can prove it to yourself. Prove it in Sears Home Furnishings Department, where till Saturday, softly patterned nylon plush carpet is 40% off, just $8.99 a square yard. And your choice of children's desks, beds, dressers, or chests in antique white or Salem brown is on sale for just $79.88 each at Sears March Value Week sale.
Milk is a natural, milk is a natural.
I like milk with something light.
Sweet bumping and dynamite. Milk is a natural.
You know, I make sure they drink milk with meals. And Tom and I try to set a good example for them.
Milk is a natural.
I like milk with bread and jam.
Milk's just fine with a Sunday ham.
I get it from my Uncle Sam.
Milk is a natural.
Pittsburgh's biggest steelworkers local is putting some pressure on the president to get the economy rolling. Officials of Steelworkers Local 1211 have written to President Ford urging some action before, as they put it, the U.S. gets into a mess. 1211 has about 10,000 members, and the problem is that J&L has only 3 out of its 5 blast furnaces at the Aliquippa works operating. A lot of workers from that department have already been laid off, and there are some reports that still more furloughs are coming at Aliquippa. Back in 1961, a brand new medium of art was created by a young artist here in Pittsburgh. To say the very least, it was a different idea. Well, finally, some fruits of his labor and imagination are being realized, and Jack Etzel has this story from Shadyside.
Carl R. Smith's no conventional soul. And artists are never strangers in Shadyside, nor vice versa. But perhaps the most unusual art and artist involves Carl R. Smith. Smith's been hammering away at his craft for nearly 15 years, but only in recent time is the art world beyond Shadyside and Pittsburgh beginning to take note. Although a man of endless talents and interest, it seems, Smith's unique nail metal sculpture is attracting all the attention. Nails, all nails, nothing but thousands of nails.
The technique that I use, nails aren't unique, but the way I use them, the technique I use them is very, very unique.
Now, exactly how's it done? Is this something you're getting started with here, for example?
Yes, but I don't carve anything. Everything's done on a flat surface. Now, when I get depth, I build up, but I build it up with flat surface, just another piece of plywood in here, and continue until it closes in, sort of a pyramidal concept.
How long does it take you to make some of these things?
As an artist, I think time is irrelevant, but dealing with tick-tock, tick, 20 hours to do a piece like this. The larger things take much more time, like months.
Although some of Smith's works of nail art are now owned by the Kennedy family, the David Rockefeller family, and are included in the collection of the Chase Manhattan Bank, he says he's most proud of this one he's still holding on to. Completed 5 years ago while living in Harlem. It's called Black Quintet. Jack Etzel, Channel 11 News Watch in Shadyside.
Did you notice Jack did not show a close-up of Carl's thumb? Wonder why. Wonder if he has a thumb. Well, there are 5 more suspicious fires in the New York telephone building during the night. This was the 7th time in 2 weeks that the telephone building has been hit with fires deliberately set by an arsonist. The latest series of fires were extinguished before the firemen arrived, but there are still 170,000 phones out of order because of that damaging fire just last week. It's time to talk about the weather, and it's a little cooler than it was yesterday or even last evening. I went out shopping last night. It was nice and mild. I assumed that the mild weather was going to continue, so I came to work without a coat this morning. It's a little chilly. It was a cold front that arrived overnight, brought some drizzle along with temperatures in the low 30s. Actually, it has not gotten much warmer. It is still 34 degrees. It's partly cloudy. The relative humidity 73%. The barometer 30.05 inches. It's rising. Wind is out of the northwest at 16 miles an hour. Now, this afternoon, it'll be mostly cloudy with a chance of a few showers, maybe even a few snow flurries. High temperatures in the mid-40s. Temperatures tonight are going to drop to the mid-20s with a chance of snow developing toward daybreak tomorrow. Tomorrow will be cloudy with a chance of snow, high in the mid-30s. All in all, not much change until Saturday. Ken Phillips is calling for the weather on Saturday to be milder with temperatures back in the low 40s. Sunday, back to snow flurries, temperatures in the high 30s. Monday will be cloudy with 40 degrees for a high temperature. Ken will have a complete weather report at 6 o'clock on Newswatch. Since I handled all of those numbers, do you want to take on the lottery numbers?
Yeah, okay. Get out your numbers slips, or I guess maybe we ought to call them lottery tickets because there is, after all, a difference. Looking to the numbers now. The $75,000 bonus number in this week's Lucky 7 lottery is 030579. The 3-digit numbers are 954, 689, and 449. Winning numbers in the baker's dozen, 712, 33620, and 062292. And don't forget that all of those winning lottery numbers are going to be repeated tonight on the 6 o'clock report of Newswatch, or if you want to take a look at them, there they are.
You really should tell Mr. Thornburg you really did not mean
I didn't
for the folks
mean
to get out their number slips,
no,
honest.
No, I really didn't. We'll check on the rest of the day's developments right after time out for this break.
Your tractor's coming in today. Golden griddle. Now, what's wrong with what we've been using?
It don't taste as good, Daddy.
Smells real mapley.
Squeeze it out, Daddy. You never know how mapley it is unless you try it.
Raising a family of lawyers. Never thought your ma's pancakes could taste better, but they do.
Golden griddle pancake syrup tastes so mapley it's starting a new tradition.
Steak and potatoes make a nutritious, delicious meal, and they're both specially priced at A&P WIIC. Tender, juicy, round steak, full cut, bone in, only $1.19 a pound. Fancy quality russet baking potatoes, a big 15-pound bag, only 99 cents. That low price on round steak again, only $1.19 a pound. And large-size baking potatoes, the big 15-pound bag, only 99 cents. The super steak and potato sale is only at A&P WIIC.
There's a closeout sale on Love Legs pantyhose at Claber's. For only 39 cents, choose from these styles. All nudes, stretch, tall girls, and knee-highs. Hurry, though, because quantities are limited. All sales are final, and all styles are not available in all stores. While you're at Claber's, here's another bargain. The jumbo roll of Bounty brand paper towels is sale priced at just 47 cents. That's an 18-cent savings. Shop any of the 8 Claber's stores for these savings.
Westinghouse Electric says that it's not to blame for all of those problems plaguing San Francisco's Bay Area transit system. Spokesman for Westinghouse maintain that the problems stem from incompetent management and sloppy maintenance by the BART employees. An official of that transit system countered the Westinghouse statement with a no comment. He simply explained that BART is currently suing Westinghouse and the design engineers for $238 million.
And 3 Canton, Ohio women have been convicted on charges of trying to cheat the fire companies in Ross and Shaler Township out of raffle prizes. Dolores Lenchner, Mary Higgins, and Ann Blosser were all found guilty of conspiracy and theft in a non-jury trial. They had a system where Mrs. Higgins would volunteer to pick the winning numbers, but then she would pull a ticket from her sleeve. The other 2 women would then try to claim the prizes. The prizes were pretty good. They were $5,000 in cash and a new car. Thursday at the Newsreel has appearances in the Great Mon Valley, Newcastle, and Mount Oliver.
St. Joseph's Church staged its annual bazaar at the school gym in Mount Oliver. The committee promised a good time and backed it with good things to eat and a lot of fun. It's fun and very good exercise, according to instructor Joanne Carper at the Newcastle WIIC. She's been teaching belly dancing for 2 years, and one of her students has become a full-time dancer. This Midget Football League clinic was free of charge and held at the Mon Valley Catholic High School. Coaches from 6 municipalities in the area took advantage of the informative sessions on football for kids. So far, there's been no comment from Governor Schaap on the latest indictment leveled against his former Property and Supplies Director, Frank Hilton. Hilton's been under indictment for perjury since last October. And then yesterday, he was hit with the additional charges of extortion and tax fraud. Now, all of those counts stem from a deal with David Oppenheim. He's a Mount Lebanon insurance broker who allegedly kicked back $31,000 on a state insurance policy. Yesterday's indictments were handed down less than 2 days after Oppenheim testified before the grand jury under a grant of immunity.
As we all know, times are tough during recession periods, and we must utilize everything we can get our hands on in order to survive with high prices.
This may be the extreme. We have come to Daly City, California, to the home of Mrs. Frances Rowe. She is here, and her dog, and some of her friends, and some of their dogs.
Fine fellow, yes you are.
What's going on here?
Well, we are grooming the dogs, saving their fur, and making it into yarn.
Save it. I mean, most people throw it away when they
A
get
lot
the
of
dog
them do.
there. They're
A lot of them
grooming
do.
the
We
dog,
save it.
Throw it away. You save it.
And that's when we spin it and make things out of their fur.
Make things out of the dog's fur.
Yes.
In slightly more detail, we find what they do here is take their dog's hair, what comes out in the brushing, and card it and comb it, like our foremothers did in pioneer America, except that they used sheep's wool, and these people use dog's wool. What spins best, of course, is the wool of a long-haired dog. Samoyeds, Collies, St. Bernards, Great Pyrenees, they say, are good. They do it because it's fun and saves money. Their way of beating inflation a little.
This is a cape made out of my 8-year-old female's fur.
A sweater made out of dog wool is very soft and warm, they say. But there can be a problem.
Very warm.
One woman made a sweater from her neighbor's dog's hair, and her own dog got hold of it and ripped it to pieces. He never liked the neighbor's dog.
And after all these years, we finally found a real shaggy dog story.
That's what they mean by the hair of the dog, is it? Huh?
Tell you, if I were a German Shepherd, I'd leave home in a hurry.
We'll see what we can do with my cat when we get home. I don't know if that works or not.
Time now to look back over the top news stories of the hour. A federal grand jury in Harrisburg is expected to hand down indictments in connection with the Patty Hearst case this afternoon. 5 or 6 persons are expected to be named on charges of harboring Miss Hearst and 2 SLA companions while they were hiding out in Pennsylvania. The weather, look for some snow flurries this afternoon and some light snow by tomorrow morning. That's the noon edition of News Watch. Bob and I will be back again tomorrow. In the meantime, have a good day.
You have just seen Newswatch, the most complete, factual, and pictorial television news broadcast available. The next Newswatch at 6 this evening.
From the time you're his age
to the time you're my age, to the time you're